key foundation stones of passive investing theory is that share prices reflect reactions to information being fed into the market completely randomly. It was a French stockbroker called Jules Regnault who first introduced the notion in a book published in 1863. A generation later, his compatriot Louis Bachelier, a mathematician, developed the idea further while researching at the Sorbonne in Paris. In The Theory of Speculation, the PhD thesis he submitted in 1900, Bachelier wrote, "The influences that determine the movements of the market are innumerable past, current and even anticipated events that often have no obvious connection with its changes. It is thus impossible to hope for mathematical probability." Bachelier's famous conclusion was that the mathematical expectation of the speculator is zero. The theory became known as the random walk, the idea that share price movements are no more predictable than the steps of a drunkard.
It basically means that if you want to forecast the future price of a stock, the current price is the best forecast of the future price of that stock. You cannot really beneficially use any additional information, such as the past price history, in the way a technical analyst would be doing. Also, if you use any other publicly available information, such as fundamental information, accounting information that a company issues, makes publicly available, that is of no use forecasting future prices.
But it took more than half a century for academics to acknowledge the significance of Bachelier's contribution.
One of the important academics that picked up on Bachelier's work was Paul Samuelson, who looked at the behaviour of speculative prices. The contribution that Paul Samuelson made was to show that in competitive markets, price changes that were expected to occur have already occurred. That is, prices behave rationally. The best guess of future prices occurs in the current price, and as information is reflected in prices, causes prices to fluctuate randomly.
Randomness was also the theme of a famous book published in 1973 by the Princeton economist Burton Malkiel. In A Random Walk Down Wall Street, Malkiel revealed how index funds, which simply track an entire market, consistently outperform funds managed by professional stock pickers.
Every time I do a new edition, I ask myself, is the hypothesis true? Do index funds outperform? And every time I do it, I find that index funds do better than about 2/3 of the actively managed funds. And the 1/3 that beat the index in one period aren't the same 1/3 that beat the index in the second period.
Things happen. A company can be going along very well, but it can then have something happen, either good or bad. So to reduce your exposure to this randomness, stay diversified, own an index, that's pretty much at the core, and that was what Bert brought to the argument.
It's an idea that's clearly struck a chord with investors. Now in its 10th edition, Malkiel's book has already sold more than 1.5 million copies.